Today we're pulling back the curtain on something you buy every single day.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, probably without even realizing the massive hidden machinery operating right beneath the surface. We're doing a deep dive into a comprehensive Wikipedia article on the concept of the private label.
It's a fascinating topic.
It really is. And the mission here is simple. We want to shatter the illusion of choice you feel when you're, walking down the store aisles, to figure out exactly what you're putting into your cart and ultimately into your wallet.
Right, because it's an entire architecture of commerce that just hides in plain sight.
Yeah.
We navigate these retail spaces. We make dozens of these little micro decisions based on branding and packaging. But we rarely stop to question who actually built the choices sitting right in front of us.
Exactly. I mean, picture this. You're standing in the pharmacy aisle, you've got a headache.
Yeah.
And you're staring at 2 boxes of aspirin.
We've all been there.
Right. On the left is a famous national brand, complete with a shiny, familiar logo that you've seen in like 1,000 TV commercials.
Yeah.
And on the right is the store's own brand.
Yep.
And the boxes look incredibly similar. The color schemes are almost identical, but the price difference is just huge.
Or think about the baby aisle.
Oh, yeah. Weighing a premium bag of diapers against the cheaper store alternative, and you're just wondering, am I just paying a premium for a logo here?
That is the exact question.
Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly is going on behind the scenes when we look at these store brands?
Well, to really understand the mechanics at play here, we first need to define what a private label actually is.
Okay.
You might hear it referred to as a private brand or a store brand. But essentially, a private label is a brand owned by a company that is offered right alongside and competes directly with other businesses' brands.
Right, like sitting on the exact same shelves.
Exactly. But the key identifier, the thing that really sets it apart, is exclusivity. A private label brand is almost always offered exclusively by the firm that owns it.
So meaning you're never going to find a Walmart great value product sitting on the shelf at a Target.
Precisely. You will never see that. And understanding how these private labels operate, it's really the ultimate shortcut to being a savvy, well-informed consumer. It fundamentally shifts how you view every single transaction you make.
Now, when we think about how these exclusive products actually get made, I think the standard assumption in the business world is that it's all about outsourcing.
Sure. That's the common belief.
Like Company A cooks up a massive batch of soup,
Yeah.
Company B buys it, slaps their own label on the can, and puts it on the shelf.
And to be fair, that traditional outsourcing model does happen all the time.
It does. But the reality of the modern private label, from what our source material shows, goes so much deeper than that. These products aren't just outsourced.
No, they aren't.
They are frequently manufactured internally by the massive retailers themselves.
And that is a crucial, often overlooked distinction. For many of the biggest players out there, this isn't just a clever branding exercise. It is a staggering industrial operation hidden directly behind the friendly retail storefront.
Let's put some actual scale to that industrial operation because this blew my mind. Look at the data from 2018 regarding the Kroger company.
Yeah, those numbers are wild.
Right. At that time, corporate executives confirmed that while 60% of their private brands were produced by third parties.
Which sounds fairly standard.
Right, standard outsourcing. But a massive 40% of their private label goods were manufactured completely internally.
40%.
They weren't buying these items from a shadow supplier. They were making them from scratch.
And the sheer physical footprint of that internal production is astounding when you actually break down the logistics.
Oh yeah, let's list what they actually owned in 2018.
Yeah, Kroger didn't just operate supermarkets. They owned 38 distinct manufacturing plants strategically distributed across the U.S.
38 plants.
We are talking about an infrastructure that includes 19 dedicated dairy farms,
Wow.
10 commercial bakeries, and 2 massive butcheries.
It's just massive.
They operate as a colossal agricultural and manufacturing entity that simply uses a grocery store as its distribution point.
And they aren't the only ones doing this.
Not at all. The source noted that by 2012, Safeway Incorporated similarly owned and operated 32 of their own manufacturing plants.
It really forces you to rethink what a supermarket actually is.
It does.
It's not just a big room where different companies rent shelf space. It's often the endpoint of a proprietary supply chain.
Exactly.
But, regardless of whether a retailer makes the product internally or outsources it to a third party, There's an incredibly heavy veil of secrecy covering this entire industry.
Oh, absolutely. It's built on secrecy.
You almost never see the actual manufacturer's name printed anywhere on a store brand product.
What's fascinating here is the industry's strict reliance on non-disclosure clauses.
The NDAs.
Right. Retailers heavily prefer to keep the identity of their suppliers completely shielded from the public. They bake these aggressive NDAs right into their manufacturing contracts,
Making it pretty much impossible for anyone to know.
making it nearly impossible for the average consumer and, honestly, often even industry analysts to definitively prove who actually produced a specific private label item.
Which makes perfect sense from a leverage standpoint. I mean, if I'm a retailer, I want to own the entire narrative of my brand.
Right.
If you know my store's generic brand is actually made by the famous premium manufacturer down the street, I lose all my negotiating leverage.
Precisely. And flip it around.
Yep.
The premium manufacturer demands that secrecy just as fiercely.
Why is that?
Well, if the public knows they are producing the exact same quality of product for half the price under a different name, they risk cannibalizing their own high-margin sales.
Oh, of course. Why buy the expensive one?
Exactly. Silence is the golden rule that protects the profit margins of both parties here.
But there are a few very rare exceptions where that curtain is intentionally pulled back, right, to manipulate consumer perception.
Yes, there are a few famous ones.
One that you, the listener, might actually have in your pantry right now is Costco's Kirkland Signature Coffee.
A classic example.
If you look closely at that bag, it literally says, custom roasted by Starbucks.
It's right there on the label.
They are overtly using the established prestige of the national brand to elevate the perceived quality of their own private label.
And in that rare instance, the cross-pollination of brand equity benefits everyone involved.
It's a win.
Costco gets to signal premium quality to its members, and Starbucks gets guaranteed massive volume without diluting its core coffee shop brand. But again, we have to emphasize that level of transparency is the exception.
Is certainly not the rule.
Not at all.
Before we go further into how these supply chains evolved, we really need to clear up some business jargon that constantly trips people up.
Oh, definitely. The terminology gets very muddy.
You hear the terms private label and white label thrown around interchangeably in casual conversation all the time. But they are entirely different strategies.
They are. And the distinction dictates exactly how much control a store actually has over the products you buy. Let's break it down.
Please do.
A private label product is highly customized. It is created exclusively for a specific client who dictates very strict proprietary demands.
So they're calling the shots.
Entirely. The retailer controls the recipe, the specific materials used, the exact engineering specifications, and the packaging. It is entirely bespoke.
So it's essentially like a custom-tailored suit.
That's a great analogy, exactly. A white label product, on the other hand, is not exclusive at all. It is a product that is already designed, engineered, and manufactured by a third party.
Okay, so it already exists.
Right. The white label manufacturer might offer some very limited superficial customizations, like maybe changing the color of the plastic casing or altering the dimensions of the cardboard box.
But the core product is identical.
Fundamentally, it is a generic, off-the-shelf product. Multiple different competing companies can buy that exact same item and just slap their respective logos on it.
So if a private label is a custom suit, a white label is just buying a shirt off the rack and having your name embroidered on the pocket.
That is exactly the difference, and that distinction makes the history of these products so much more interesting.
It really does. Because the journey of these custom suits, these private labels, has been a complete roller coaster.
It hasn't been a straight line to success.
No. The origins trace all the way back to the 19th century, but the market hit a major rough patch in the early 20th century.
Things got pretty bad then.
Yeah, during that era, the quality of private brands seriously diluted. Standard plummeted because retailers decided that in their war against established national brands, rock-bottom prices were the only weapon that mattered.
Just slash prices at all costs.
Exactly. Quality took a back seat to simply being the cheapest physical object sitting on the shelf.
But, as any business student knows, a pure race to the bottom is rarely a sustainable long-term business model.
Right.
Consumers eventually catch on to inferior quality. So, in the second half of the 20th century, the industry saw a dramatic strategic reversal.
Retailers finally woke up.
They realized that to build actual lasting loyalty, rather than just capturing a one-off budget purchase, The products had to be genuinely good.
The quality had to be there.
So the visual design of the packaging drastically improved, the quality of the raw ingredients went up, and as a result, private labels experienced a massive renaissance throughout the 1970s and 80s.
And by the 1990s, they had completely shed their reputation as just the cheap alternative. They became a legitimate existential threat to established national brands.
Which sparked the era of premium private labels we see dominating aisles today.
Think of high-end lines like Aldi's Specially Selected.
Exactly.
But right in the middle of that historical timeline, something else happened that completely upended consumer psychology.
The generic.
Yes. When true generic products hit the United States in 1977, they didn't just look different. They completely disrupted the market share of established national brands.
The introduction of true generics was a fascinating psychological experiment in retail. These were products stripped of all marketing artifice.
It's totally bare.
No vibrant colors, no mascots, no lifestyle branding, just stark, utilitarian packaging that plainly stated the contents.
You would just see a plain white can with bold black letters that simply said cola, or a box that just said batteries.
It's almost jarring to think about now.
But consumers flocked to them because the transparency of the cost savings was undeniable. You knew you weren't paying a single cent for advertising.
And at the time, they captured significant market share from both the national brands and the traditional private labels. But consumer preferences are cyclical.
They always are.
Today, while the terms generic brand and store brand are heavily used interchangeably, the word generic carries distinct cultural baggage.
Almost an insult now.
Right. It's often used pejoratively to describe items perceived as bland, cheap, or inferior. Which is ironic considering the actual quality of modern store brands has never been higher.
The quality is so high and the margins are so good that stores are leaning into their own labels harder than ever before.
Which brings us to a fascinating modern tension within the supply chain. A 2024 survey conducted by the Groceries Code Adjudicator in the UK highlighted a massive shift.
What did they find?
They found that retailers are aggressively introducing significantly more own-label products onto their shelves. The adjudicator specifically noted that this expansion is creating huge management complexities for the suppliers.
Because suddenly the supplier isn't just a vendor, they're fighting their own client for shelf space.
Exactly. The power dynamic fundamentally shifts. The retailer controls the real estate.
Right, they own the shelves.
So if a supermarket decides to prioritize its new premium private label, the national brand supplier suddenly finds their products pushed to the bottom shelf or removed entirely. It creates an incredibly hostile and complex negotiating environment behind closed doors.
Here's where it gets really interesting. And this is the ultimate aha moment of this entire deep dive.
This is the big one.
We talked earlier about the strict NDAs, the intense secrecy, and how retailers desperately want you to believe their store brand is a unique standalone competitor to the famous national brand.
Right.
But very often, the private label brand is produced by the exact same company that manufactures the competing national brand.
It's the same factory.
Same factory, different box.
It completely shatters that illusion of choice we discussed at the top of the show.
Totally.
You stand there in the aisle, agonizing over whether to spend the extra $3 on the name brand, entirely unaware that your money might be going to the exact same corporate manufacturer regardless of which box you choose.
Take Kimberly-Clark, for example. They are the massive multinational corporation responsible for premium Huggies diapers.
A huge brand.
Massive.
Yeah.
But they also manufacture a budget version of diapers specifically for Walmart.
Which immediately makes you wonder,
Why? Why would a premium established manufacturer ever agree to do that? Aren't they just shooting themselves in the foot by building their own direct competitor?
it seems counterintuitive at first glance, but it really comes down to a sophisticated understanding of market segmentation and capacity utilization.
How so?
Different brands target entirely different demographics. Kimberly-Clark knows that a certain percentage of parents will only ever buy premium brand name Huggies. They are brand loyal and price insensitive.
They want the best for their baby no matter the cost.
Right. But Kimberly-Clark also knows there is a massive segment of shoppers who will only ever buy the absolute cheapest store brand available.
Because they have a strict budget.
Exactly. If Kimberly-Clark doesn't manufacture that cheap diaper, someone else will.
So they want that money too.
By manufacturing both, they capture the revenue from both ends of the economic spectrum while keeping their factory lines running at maximum efficiency.
That makes total sense.
And sometimes it is literally the exact same product rolling off the line, just diverted into different packaging with a different price tag.
Literally the same diaper.
Sometimes. Other times, the manufacturer will use slightly different formulas or lower cost materials for the private version to protect the premium brand's reputation.
And because of those strict NDAs, sometimes the only way the public finds out about this secret factory sharing is when something goes catastrophically wrong.
Like a recall.
Exactly. Think back to the massive pet food recall of 2007.
Oh, that was a huge moment.
This wasn't just a widespread health crisis. It accidentally unmasked the entire architecture of the pet food industry. When that recall hit, it revealed that over 100 different brands of pet food were all being manufactured by a single company.
Menu Foods Inc. up in Ontario, Canada.
Over 100 brands.
The fallout from that was a profound realization for the average consumer. We're talking about over 100 distinct brand identities.
Spanning the most expensive boutique premium brands all the way down to the cheapest private labels.
All boasting substantially different recipes and specialized ingredient lists, yet they were all pouring out of the exact same industrial facility.
It's crazy to think about.
It laid bare the reality that much of the variety we perceive is simply a marketing overlay on top of a highly consolidated manufacturing base.
But relying on this intense strategy of creating hyper-specific brands to manipulate consumer perception can easily backfire when the marketing drifts too far from reality.
Yes, it can cross a line.
Supermarkets in the United Kingdom have faced significant organized criticism over the years for creating what consumer advocates call fake farm private label brands.
The fake farm controversy perfectly encapsulates the tension between marketing perception and sourcing reality.
So what exactly were they doing?
Supermarkets were creating exclusive store brands and giving them incredibly rustic, wholesome-sounding names, suggesting the meat or produce came from a specific, idyllic, multi-generational family farm.
Trying to paint this beautiful pastoral picture.
Exactly. But in reality, the names were complete marketing inventions designed to sell bulk-sourced industrial supermarket food at a premium.
And we are simply reporting the facts of the criticism here from the source. To be clear, we aren't taking sides.
Right, but it highlights a critical vulnerability in the strategy. When consumers feel the narrative has crossed the line from branding into deception, the trust in the private label evaporates.
It all comes down to the story they are selling alongside the physical product.
Entirely.
But this illusion of choice isn't just happening in your pantry. If you take that private label grocery concept and apply it to the drive-thru, you'll see the exact same ecosystem.
Fast food.
Fast food chains are massive players in the private label game, even if we're conditioned to just view them as restaurants.
From a structural and branding perspective, a massive fast food chain operates almost identically to a major grocery retailer.
When you order McDonald's fries or a Burger King Whopper, those core menu items, the customized meats, the specific fries, the proprietary salads, the baked goods,
Yes.
those are all highly controlled, exclusive, private label products, but they sit on the glowing menu board right alongside massive, undeniable national brands.
It's a hybrid model.
You order your private label burger, but you wash it down with a national brand, Coca-Cola or Pepsi. You order a private label soft serve, but it's explicitly co-branded with Oreo or M&M's.
It is the exact same curated mix of store brand and name brand that you navigate in the supermarket aisle.
It really is.
And it is a brilliantly curated ecosystem. The restaurant maximizes its profitability and operational control on the core items through strict private label manufacturing.
Because they own the burger recipe.
Right. While simultaneously leveraging the massive brand equity and marketing budgets of national partners for their beverages and add-ons, it creates a halo effect of quality across the entire menu.
Let's take this one step further. Pull out your wallet for a second. Look at your store credit cards.
This is a great pivot.
We are moving from food to finance because the private label concept entirely dominates the credit card industry too.
It's huge there.
It operates through specialized financial products known as private label credit cards, or PLCCs.
The mechanics of a PLCC are a masterclass in corporate branding. Let's use Target as an example.
Okay.
A major retailer like Target wants to offer a credit card to increase customer loyalty and capture purchasing data. But Target doesn't want to actually become a heavily regulated bank to do this.
Nobody wants to be a bank if they don't have to be.
Right. So instead, they partner quietly with a major financial institution. The bank does all the heavy lifting. They issue the physical cards, fund the multi-million-dollar credit lines, manage the risk, and take on the complex task of collecting payments.
But when you hold that physical card in your hand, whose logo's on it?
It's just the Target logo.
The bank's branding is completely erased from the consumer experience. The Target Circle card is actually issued by TD Bank,
Exactly.
the Walmart Reward card. That is issued and managed by Capital One. The Amazon Store card is issued by Synchrony Bank.
You feel this psychological connection, like you are borrowing money directly from Amazon to buy your books.
But behind the curtain, you're strictly dealing with Synchrony.
And crucially, these private label credit cards go a step further to isolate the consumer experience. They do not carry the logo of the payment network either.
Oh, that's true.
You won't see a Visa, MasterCard, or American Express logo anywhere on the front of a true PLCC, even though the card secretly utilizes those exact same financial networks to process the data when you swipe at the register.
Now, we have to make sure you don't confuse a PLCC with a co-branded card, because while they look similar, they drive entirely different consumer behaviors.
It is a very common point of confusion. A co-branded card operates much more like a traditional universal credit card.
What's a good example?
Let's look at the high-end warehouse chain Nordstrom. They offer a perfect case study. Nordstrom actually offers two distinct card products. First, they have the Nordstrom Store card. This is a true private label card.
So no Visa logo.
Right. It hides the network logos, and it can only physically be used at a Nordstrom register. But they also offer a Nordstrom credit card, which is a co-branded card.
And that one looks different.
This one proudly features the Visa logo right on the front.
So what does this all mean for you when you're deciding which card to apply for?
It's all about utility.
Right. It means that if you hold the co-branded Nordstrom Visa, you can use that piece of plastic to buy coffee at a local cafe, book a flight to Europe, or buy your groceries anywhere in the world that Visa is accepted.
All while earning Nordstrom reward points.
Exactly. But if you hold the private label store card, your purchasing power is geographically locked entirely to Nordstrom properties.
And the fascinating part,
Both of those cards are issued and managed by the exact same financial institution.
TD Bank.
Yes. But the branding, the presence or absence of a network logo, dictates an entirely different relationship between you and your money.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, a distinct pattern emerges across all these industries.
It's a very clear pattern.
Whether we are analyzing a simple box of headache medicine, a premium bag of pet food, a fast food value meal, or the piece of plastic you swipe to pay for it all, the brands we interact with every single day are carefully curated illusions.
It's all managed behind the scenes.
They are managed by a highly concentrated, incredibly secretive web of industrial manufacturers and financial institutions that is far smaller than the endless variety on the shelves would ever have you believe.
And knowing how that machinery operates is basically a superpower.
It really is.
It gives you back your agency as a consumer. It allows you to look past the shiny packaging, the rustic farm names, and the imposing store logos.
You don't have to fall for it anymore.
You can finally make your purchasing decisions based on the physical reality of the product, not just the carefully engineered marketing narrative they want you to believe.
It is about recognizing the architecture of the marketplace. Once you see the strings pulling the levers of supply and demand, you can't unsee them. You navigate the world with a totally different level of awareness.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on.
Let's hear it.
We've spent a lot of time today exploring how private labels have evolved from cheap generics to premium billion-dollar internal empires, like that Kroger stat.
The 40% internal manufacturing.
Right. But think about the logical conclusion of that trend. If massive retailers continue to expand their private labels, pushing established national brands further and further off the shelves until they eventually disappear entirely,
It's a real possibility.
will the traditional distinction between a retail store and a manufacturer eventually disappear entirely?
Leaving us in a world where the grocery store itself is the only brand that matters.
Exactly. Will we lose the fundamental innovation that those national brands historically brought to the market? Are we heading toward a highly consolidated retail landscape where we are left with a monopoly of good enough store products without any of the fierce independent competition that actually drives quality forward?
It's a structural shift that could completely redefine the concept of consumerism, prioritizing retailer control over product evolution.
Definitely something to ponder the next time you're standing in the aisle, deciding between two identical boxes of aspirin. Thank you so much for joining us on this tailored deep dive today. Keep exploring, keep looking behind the labels, and keep questioning the world around you. We'll catch you next time.